Yeah, you already know what it is. It's time to come down and get them Hollywood trades. All right, we're gonna make this one quick. USD Swiss franc. We see we're obviously bearish. Been having a few people want to look at how I internalize this price action, and I really be cheating, to be honest, because I really put together something with this impossible. It's impossible indicator. Shout out to the It's Impossible crew. Y'all really did something crazy on this one. So let's go ahead and slap that on the chart. And we're gonna make this one quick, because I don't trade USD Swiss franc, but I do use it as a major confluence to the US dollar movement. So as we can see, there was a failed displacement below these breaks here. Volume recovered there bullish very quickly, fairly quickly in a matter of days. All of this imbalance here was cleared up, but this area is now dynamic strength. A lot of people who don't know about inverted fair value, or it's just an inverted liquidity area, if you just think about it in terms of price action physics, the liquidity was bearish here and then it became bullish in this zone almost immediately thereafter. As you can see, as it's dipping into that zone, there's failed displacement in that zone. So boom, use this, create a gap off of this, and now we are using this gap as support. The thing about a gap as support is it will fill the opposite side easily. So as stops gather below these areas, it will fill those stops easily. That's easily tradable, as you see when you dip into these places, right? It's easily tradable. It will want to really use this as support, especially the 50% here. As we see, we have a change of character marked out here on the It's Impossible. I mean, this thing is really telling you where these zones are. It's telling you the PD. Look, this is the PD right here. This is the dealing range for the highs and the lows in this range. We are underneath the 50% of this. As I said, I'm going to try to make these quick. It's really difficult when you start diving into it, but 10 minutes should do the job on this one. Let's go ahead and dial into this a little bit further. We see where the imbalances are here, and there's a small one here. I actually fact checked that there is a small one here, and the market can sweep this whole area, grab this, and come back up. So I don't really see that happening with this. We'll have to see what happens here, because it's definitely going to want to sweep this inducement here since it's absorbed external here. We're definitely looking towards a pushing of the fractal low, or what this dealing range low is. We're definitely pushing towards that, right? To clear some of this. That's an easy fill. You also have a gap here. I didn't even look at that. There's a gap here. And wow, yeah, so we'll definitely have to see what happens at this zone here, this change of character also, and that's the break point. We know retail traders even know that, when you're waiting for good positions, now you're waiting for days. If you're waiting for a bullish move here, you're waiting for days, right? So those people get rewarded usually, people who wait for days on moves. You can expect a bullish reaction here, even if it's just back up to the tops of this zone here. If it does give a good reaction here, you can expect a bullish motion to start attacking these fractal highs, and maybe even this high here, maybe even come clear this up. This is all just basic higher time frame interactions, but we do want to put in a swing low and see what this next swing low is going to give us here. Let's just for your intraday traders who really want to get in on a position this week and try to make it count, let's really get in there and start looking at buy and sell zones in here. We're expecting a bearish motion for sure, especially after It's Impossible showed us a sweep right here. So since we do have a sweep right here, there was a shedding of weight right here in this price action. There wasn't a gap here, so it did not find filling in that area. So what did it do? It found filling at the liquidity. To do what? That liquidity absorption will be distributed into the what? Into the premium of this dealing range. That's above the 50% between the high and the low. We've reached a premium. What happens when you get to the premium? You want to start looking for short opportunities. Right here, we do have a little gap left over. That did fuel this downward spike here in this price action. We see we didn't really get anywhere. I mean, that's a small trade. What, 70? I mean, that's a good trade for a lot of people actually. If you were able to catch that and scalp this internal revisit to the what I would say would be the middle of this block here, would have been your easy take profit. Obviously, this block here is pretty strong of a take profit as well. I wouldn't have targeted the lows immediately because the liquidity in this leg would stop that without an internal revisit to balance this, usually. Now that we've rebalanced a lot of this, we need to see what happens if there's going to be some internal revisit here. We don't anticipate that. We just want to watch from here because we do have small lower time frame support here, and this is when it gets hairy when I say don't trade certain days and why you wouldn't even want to trade Monday. Monday they're going to be setting up for the liquidity run. Sometimes on a Monday you can get some strange action. Non-farm payroll and the such will give you some strange action on Mondays when it's that week. So we can watch that. We are looking for a breaking of this fractal lower. Look, swing high, swing low, swing high, swing low. We don't, I mean, unless we get an impulsive break here and then fall back into that impulse and repeat that whole support, resistance turn support thing and then come up here. But we already swept this, so we wouldn't really want to anticipate that besides this small gap here. Let's turn on our eyes. Let's go ahead and just turn on the wall hacks here. Boom, wall hacks. People wondering where liquidity is. This is it. Go ahead and put on your liquidity hunter. Go ahead and grab that. It's impossible. I'm trying to make this quick. So this is what I'm anticipating for USD, right? I'm anticipating this being cleaned up a little bit. This is also very interesting that they grouped this up here, but it is capped off by liquidity here. This is all liquidity, and this is all protected, I would say. This is all protected because after this failed displacement, look at what printed here, right? Boom, boom, break, failed displacement. Look at what printed. An impulsive move away from right where the break is at. And so we do have some internal here, but look at where our liquidity is at. Boom. This liquidity got left behind here after the sweep. It didn't quite touch this gap, and just saving that for later. That's my guess, right? After we visit this and maybe some of this and clean some of this up, we're definitely going for some of this to clean this up. That would really give us a cleaning up of buy side objectives. Maybe pop these two here and possibly even sweep this, maybe, because you're breaking, and then all up in here is anybody's guess for me right now. I would say that is a lot of fuel to get up into this. If you take this as fuel, that's a lot of fuel to get up into this. But right now, for our intraday traders, this 4-hour chart will do. We can really start dialing in here. Let me just flex real quick and start dialing in here. Like we said again, fractal high, fractal low. We are trading below the 50%. You have FVGs in the premium, right, of this range, and so those are going to act as we're going to want to, if it goes up in here, we're going to want to deliver back to the discount. So everything is leading into breaking of this, maybe a sweep of these two and a revert after we dive into this, clean some of. And on the 1-hour time frame, it's not even, there's no objective here besides liquidity in these wicks, and maybe revisiting this barrier here. That would be surprising to see the hourly come back to its mitigation below this break. That would be surprising. But that's when you just let your runner rip and see where it goes, right? And you have clear targets. If it snatches this, you have this here. We expect a purge and reverse somewhere up in here. We don't expect all this to be revisited. All this was swept and cleared good. And I'm going to leave it at that. Let's go ahead and flex some more wall hikes for this one. Hold on, wait. Let's go ahead and put on our hourly liquidity and where our inverted fair value zones would be. So look, we're dealing with this here. All this hourly, nah, that's too messy. I don't like that. That's just too much of a flex, right? Hourly liquidity. Anyway, you only really ever need daily. That's what I wanted to prove there. Anyway, so you do have this zone as support, right? You also have this zone left over as support. You also have this higher time frame, which was bright white daily, right? Daily. These are all daily liquidities, right? Boom. What? Boom. And look at what this all turns into. Gap right here. What happens when it clears it? Liquidity, right? Boom. Gap right here. Look what happens when it comes to it. Resistance, right? And so it wants to get here. It already cleared this. It was on a clearing path to the south, right? Boom, cleared this, left this behind. That's what cleared that. Boom, came back up into internal, cleared all of that, right? Boom, cleared. And what happens when it cleared it? Almost to the handle, right? To the pip. It registers. Boom, creates its own support barrier, its own internal inducement, liquidity. Snatched it just a bit. X, come down, right? It's impossible, right? It told you right there that it was a sweep. You got a failed displacement in that bar, right? That was 1 hour. You got a failed displacement. After that, that's what happened in this last session, right? If you would have been looking at all this, maybe you could have come to determine once it cleared this, it just needed an inducement to induce liquidity, just enough liquidity to sweep once more, just by a bit, right? And then come down, right? That happened at what time? That actually happened at 2 o'clock in the morning. Farewell to anybody who wasn't up during that move, because you didn't get anything for the rest of the day, really, except a small minor continuation of it as FEG. What did they tell you? Wake up and find a what? Retracement into an FEG. That's going to be your easiest bet. So we're going to clear that one. I'm going to go ahead and stop that one. Go ahead and subscribe if you like the way we're looking at this price. This is going to be a whole new mode for a lot of people being able to get in here and look. I've set up some indicator settings just using the newest It's Impossible indicator and a liquidity hunter indicator that shows where these large liquidity pools are. And so being able to look at price like this, I feel like a lot of newcomers would learn a lot. Of course, you don't want to have all this on all the time, but once you learn how to see the basics and what price is doing, right, from tops to bottoms, anticipating these sweeps, these creations of liquidity moments, and anticipating what happens thereafter. And when it gets into the premium of it, right, this zone got established here and here, it got back into the premium and what created some liquidity and swept it and came back into the discount. I mean, this is what you expect in price. So we're going to call that the wraps for the US dollar Swiss franc, and we're going to go on to gold. I don't even want to talk about NASDAQ. We're going to go into gold next. Y'all know I'm gold gang for life. So we're going to go into that next. Signing off.